Good morning. Semi Truth here. And today is January the 8th, and supposedly of the new year 2017. Secret Destiny of America and America's Assignment with Destiny by Manly P. Hall. I began reading out of this book, maybe about 3, 4 weeks ago, and ended up on this chapter, Quetzalcoatl. So, before I get into the reading or the continuing reading of that, um, I found a chapter that was quite interesting to me, and I'm gonna read some from that before I go any further. It says the colonization scheme, and we all know, those of us who have ears to hear and eyes to see, we all know that our whole setup over here is a scheme. It's fraudulent. It's divisive. It's it's a lie, you know. Fundamentally, it's a lie. And with that in mind, I'm just rambling on for a minute, so bear with me. With all the information that is available to us via the internet, written books for those who still like to go in and purchase a, hard copy and flip through some pages. We have libraries. There are many means of digging and finding out the truth of the matter, of what's going on. Unfortunately, um, many of us, and we as a people, you know who we uh, are complacent, lazy, and perfectly content to follow along with this bullshit. I'm sorry. It just amazes me how people just want to stay focused on the garbage. I don't want to stay focused on the garbage. I want to rise above it. But factually, family, we've got to change how we think. We've got to change how we speak. We really have to dig and understand that what we're dealing with is a spiritual battle, and it manifests itself in this physical environment. I have been practicing something that I want to encourage everyone else to at least consider. When someone comes up to you and says those two words that we all know is a lie, African American, correct them. Correct them, and correct them in love and in wisdom. Choosing your words carefully. Educate them because they don't know any better. I think that's one of the things that we as a people can do right now, is to stop allowing others to tell us who we are. We have to speak up. King Drop has it on his shirts, t-shirts. If they can't tell us who we are, they can't tell us who we are not. We have to correct the ignorant and let them know, no, I'm not African American. Okay. Africa, for all intents and purposes, is a European word developed to describe a continent where these land masses were once all joined together. Don't continue to allow them to dictate to us, and allowing our own people who are ignorant to dictate to us. Okay? Now, with that being said, moving on. This cat, Manly P. Hall, was considered to be a scholar in the esoteric teachings, and he did a lot of what they would term black magic. uh, he attempted to practice what we, and y'all know who we are, what we have honestly, naturally. But they study us, and they've studied our origins as best they can, and they've got a better hold on the spiritual aspects than many of us do. But we're learning. I would suggest that you check out Manly P. Hall. Uh, this one clip that I have of is called Atlantis, the Pyramids, and America's Lesson. And the graphics in it are interesting to look at. So now we're gonna move on with this reading here, okay? And it's from the chapter. It's near the back of the book, and this particular chapter here is called "The Colonization Scheme." The political intrigues which Queen Elizabeth had inherited from Henry VIII plagued Her Majesty's advisors throughout her long reign. Henry had rebelled against the papacy, ousted its clergy, closed its monastic houses, confiscated its properties, and established the Church of England. Spain, motivated by both religious and secular considerations, was resolved to control England. The Spanish ambassador at the court of the Tudors was the moving spirit behind an elaborate program of espionage, and all that he could learn, glean, or deduce was dispatched post haste to His Royal Majesty, the King of Spain. While serving his diplomatic apprenticeship at the court of Navarre, Bacon, as Sir Francis Bacon, had been initiated into the new liberalism represented throughout Europe by secret societies of intellectuals dedicated to civil and religious freedoms. Ain't that something? They dedicated to it, but not for us. He returned to England fully aware of the intentions of Philip II, the Spanish king. Later, when the moment was propitious, he threw the weight of his literary group with the English colonization plan for America in order to prevent Spanish domination of the New World. The same political considerations apparently also induced him to develop Freemasonry as a further bulwark against the encroachments of the Spanish plot. Cherishing as he did the dream of a great commonwealth in the new Atlantis, Bacon was resolved to prevent his plan from being frustrated by a dominant clergy supported by an entrenched aristocracy. It was necessary for Bacon to conceal both his purposes and his machine. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay. And the machinery. I'm going to get it together. Hold on. Work with me. Machinery for their fulfillment for the Spanish spies. If the project were prematurely revealed, it could precipitate a desperate political situation. I just want to interject. This bullshit is still going on to this day. The only thing that has changed is technology. There's an old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, fundamentally, this game of war that these people perpetrate on the world hasn't changed. Only thing changed is the technology and the clothing. And for all intents and purposes, I think they look better then. Okay. All right. It says, if the project were prematurely revealed, it could precipitate a desperate political situation, with many courtiers secretly sympathizing with the cause of Spain and Elizabeth's claim to the throne questioned because of Henry's numerous divorces. It was impossible to use such conventional channels as were provided by an uneasy government. Bacon protected both his cause and his country by acting privately and maturing his schemes within the hallowed walls of the Inns of Court. There, in the sanctuary of the martyred Templars, who had earlier felt the full weight of ecclesiastical displeasure. He labored industriously to fashion wings for the White House of Britain. The rapid progress of England in the second half of the 16th and the first half of the 17th centuries was due not only to the appearance of a select courtier of wits, but also the more liberal atmosphere which resulted from Harry's religious house cleaning. After the Armada, the issues were partly clarified, but it still remained vital to protect and enlarge the English interests in the Western Hemisphere. Their interests in the Western Hemisphere. The only interest that these people have had and still have is to strip the land of every ounce of precious mineral and essence that it has. All these people know is death and destruction. The rapid progress of England in the second half of the 16th and the first half of the 17th centuries were due not only to the appearance of a select courtier of wits, but also to the more liberal atmosphere which resulted from Henry's religious house cleaning. I just read that. Okay, and it says after the Armada, the issues were partly clarified, but it still remained vital to protect and enlarge the English interest in the Western Hemisphere. Incidentally, the ships of the Armada carried 90 Spanish inquisitors with all the paraphernalia of their office, ready to set up the Inquisition in conquered England. The Pope had already claimed the 3 Americas for the church. Ain't that something? You see this shit? They claim the Americas for the church. See, this is what has to be told. This is what has to be instilled in people, that we are indeed, y'all know who we are. We are prisoners of war, okay? And I personally don't have a problem with rebelling against that bullshit. You know, just go ahead and get ready to do what you got to do, because I'm going to fight it. Now that I know how to fight it. That's what we've never been taught the truth, so we never stood a chance in hell of coming out of our slumber and our sleep, because we haven't been taught. But again, that goes back to what I said initially. We have too much information. We have access to too much information. And y'all know who we are, got to get off of our behinds and dig in and dig deep if we want to be free, or we'll continue to be the slaves, the mental slaves, and in many cases the physical slaves that we are. Alrighty, it says the Pope had already claimed the 3 Americas for the church, but the English colonizers were resolved to dispute this claim with every resource at their disposal. Now, look at this. The colonizers were ready to fight. Were ready to fight the Spanish, their church, about land that don't even belong to them. What's wrong with us, people? The first permanent English settlement in North America was established at Jamestown, Virginia on May 14, 1607. Earlier attempts resulted only in the naming of the region, which was called Virginia in honor of Queen Elizabeth. In 1609, Sir George Somers was appointed governor of the colony of Virginia. He sailed for the New World with dignity appropriate to his office, but his arrival was delayed when his ship foundered on the Hog Islands. Later, he was able to victual 2 pinnacles? 2, can't read that word, with prime pork, and to proceed on his journey. The Hog Islands, so named because of the wild swine that infested them, was renamed to Somers Island in honor of Sir George's impromptu visit. Ultimately, however, these islands were called the Bermuda, after the Spanish navigated Juan Bermudez. You see that? The islands were called the Bermudas after the Spanish navigator Juan Bermudez. Just want y'all to see some of this stuff. In 1609, James I granted a charter to the Bermuda Company, and in 1612, Richard Moore and 60 colonists from Virginia settled on one of the islands. Later in 1616, Captain John Smith appointed Master Daniel Tucker a governor of Bermuda. See, they just come and take. They just come and take. Excuse me. They just take everything. Just take shit. Sick of it. The same year, a series of coins was struck off for use in the Bermudas. Now, mind you, our people from the beginning, we didn't have coins. We bartered with each other. I think I read it earlier where it said that, there was peace amongst us before these people come over here destroying everything, but they gonna make coins, right? The history of this coinage is extremely obscure. The hog money, as it is often called, was of brass and in 3 denominations. The shilling of this issue bears on the obverse the legend Somers Islands, surrounding the figure of a wild boar. Above the boar is the numeral 12, signifying 12 pence. There is no date. The reverse of the coin is a ship under full sail. The wild boar on this coinage carries the definite impression of being a heraldic device. It is identical in drawing with the crest of Lord Bacon, even to the jaunty curl of the porcupine tail. According to the merger records in the British Museum, this coinage was forbidden by James I to be exported. It seems strange that the hog money should have been regarded so unfavorably by the king. Why did James, on 2 separate occasions, set so strenuously to prevent the circulation of this coinage? And it has here the Encyclopedia Britannica, 1946. Reading on. If I can get the page turned. I'm working with one hand, y'all. Working with one hand. Help me. Okay, there we go. Intimates that the coins were struck in America, but numismatic catalogs describe them as made for America. For the evidence of the coins themselves, it would seem that the hog money was a definite landmark, bearing witness to the operation of the secret society directing the early colonizing program. Really? The adventures of Sir George Somers were quickly adapted to high drama by the literary workshop at Gray's Inn. The most obvious example of their ingenuity was The Tempest. This play first appeared about 1.5 years after the governor had been shipwrecked, according to the chronological chart of the Shakespearean plays. The Tempest was first acted in 1611, was played a second time in 1613, but was not published until the Great Folio of 1623. It is supposed that the play was written between 1608 and 1610. There's no data as to whether or not it was among those rewritten before final publication. Okay, I'm getting tired. So I'm going to cut this off for right now. Like I said, check out Manly P. Hall at your leisure. I think I have the PDF for this particular book that I'm reading from, and we'll pick it up again a little later. Have a good one. This is M.A. True. Out.